everyone, and welcome to the thru Recovery Life podcast. In this episode, we will be discussing how you can start living in steps 10, 11, and 12 very early in sobriety. My name is John A., and I am an alcoholic in West Palm Beach, Florida. My sobriety date is September 13th of 1982. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast and hit the notifications button. You can recover very quickly in Alcoholics Anonymous by having the steps become a way of life for you sooner than later. If you want to be on step one for a year, that's your prerogative. But if you want to get over the drink obsession sooner than later, then you need to have the steps become a way of life for you sooner than later. This is life and death. If you had cancer, you would want to be on the medication as soon as possible. Alcoholism is a disease, life-threatening disease, and the medication is the 12 steps if you're an alcoholic, if you're in Alcoholics Anonymous. All right, so step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 10 is very simple and pretty much self-explanatory. And steps 10, 11, and 12 are what many members of AA refer to as the maintenance steps. Steps 10, 11, and 12 can be started on your very first day in the AA program, as you do steps 1 through 9. I'm not crazy, nor am I making this up. Let's look at the big book on page 84. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. So again, that was from the big book, page 84. So I'm not saying you skip 1 through 9 and just do 10, 11, and 12. Because it says here, we vigorously commence this way of living as we clean up the past. You clean up the past with steps 1 through 9. And before that, we could continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. Any new mistakes would be any mistakes you make after coming into Alcoholics Anonymous. So, again, I'm not saying you skip 1 through 9 and just do 10, 11, and 12. You can be living in steps 10, 11, and 12 as you do steps 1 through 9. And getting back to step 10, you can do a personal inventory many times a day. And do not look for times that you're wrong. Do not look only for the times that you're wrong. Look for things that you did or said that made you feel good so that you can try to repeat and maybe even improve on them. Actually, you'll be doing a 10th step almost every time you speak to your sponsor. And even when you're speaking to your sober support, you will usually be doing a 10th step. So if you get a sponsor your first day in AA, your first week in Alcoholics Anonymous, you will be already doing a 10th step. And the 12 steps need to become a way of life for you. And the 10th step will help you stay on the right track and move forward and grow. You may be on the right track, but if you're not moving forward, you'll get run over. We will never be out of the woods with alcoholism, but with AA, we now have a design for living. And step 10 helps us get a restraint of pen, tongue, and the send button. And having that restraint will keep you from eating crow or having egg on your face too often. And step 10 also helps you develop a filter between your mind and your mouth. You can think anything you want, but you don't have to say it nor act on it. So step 10 is that filter. And step 11. sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. I'm about to read something from the Big Book, which will apply to both steps 10 and 11, and this is from the Big Book, page 86. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? Were we kind and loving toward all? What could we have done better? Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? Or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. And again, that was from the Big Book, page 86. And that passage applies to both steps 10 and 11. So, why can't you start praying and meditating on your first day in AA? Even if you meditate for 10 seconds at a time, it will benefit you. You can meditate at a red light or while waiting for the train to go by. And don't worry about the light changing because the person behind you will gently let you know when it's time to go. Meditation will also show that you are not powerless over your thoughts. When something negative enters your mind, you'll have the capability to shift your thoughts to something positive. Think of meditation as a restraining order against your mind. Most members of AA already know how to pray very early in the AA program. Either they already know how to pray before coming into AA or learn how to pray early in the AA program. And what AA does is it teaches us to not pray for ourselves and not to pray for specific things or outcomes. But many others have problems meditating. And meditation is not hard and it's not complicated. We have two podcasts on meditation, on prayer and meditation made simple. So please be sure to check those out. And with meditation, you do not have to clear your mind. You do not have to clear your mind to meditate. Have you ever read a paragraph or a page in a book, but don't remember what you read? You didn't forget what you read. You didn't forget what you read. Have you ever been introduced to someone and less than 5 minutes later, you don't remember their name? Again, you didn't forget their name. Your feet were in the room, but your mind was someplace else. To meditate, all you have to do is be where your feet are. Stay in the moment. Focus on what you're doing. Focus on what you're saying. Focus on what you're reading. Because remember this, if you get nothing else out of this podcast, remember, the human mind can only entertain one thought at a time. The human mind can only entertain one thought at a time. It takes about 58 seconds to say the St. Francis prayer. Less than a minute is all it takes to say the St. Francis prayer. It takes about 32 seconds to say the Lord's Prayer. It takes about 12 seconds to say the Serenity Prayer. And if 12 seconds are too much, you can do the one breath meditation. Simply close your eyes and take a deep breath and then let it out. Focus on that breath and you have just meditated for 1 second. Again, remember, the human mind can only entertain one thought at a time. That's how simple meditation is. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. You will have a change of heart and mind very early in AA when you start taking the steps. A spiritual awakening, as referred to in AA, is simply a change of heart and a change of mind. Our spiritual awakening is of the educational kind. It should be a continuous lifetime process. Sometimes it's a spiritual experience or a spiritual awakening which pushes someone to seek help even before starting the 12 steps of AA. Sometimes it's a spiritual awakening or spiritual experience that brings someone into Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you have one day in AA, you can start talking to the person with 0 days. You don't have an AA message yet, but you have your own experience to share. And the principle behind the 12th step is service. And service is the action of helping or doing work for someone. You can start being of service inside and outside of AA very early in your sobriety. How soon do you want to be happy, joyous, and free? It's up to you. Again, you can start steps 10, 11, and 12 on your very first day in AA as you do steps 1 through 9. That is how you recover quickly in Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a matter of life and death, so why not get on the medication as soon as possible? The medication for alcoholism is the 12 steps if you're a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Right. Once again, thank you for listening to the Zoo Crew Recovery Life podcast on living in steps 10, 11, and 12 very early in sobriety. My name is John A., and I am an alcoholic in West Palm Beach, Florida. My sobriety date is September 13th, 1982. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button so you can be notified when we upload new videos. Leave a comment and we will respond. If you like our message of recovery, please share our podcast site with others. Thank you. Have a great day. And remember, you never need to have a bad day, just bad moments.